Just think about your everyday user experience for a second. You tap a button, you swipe across a photo, you add an item to your digital shopping cart. How does the app actually keep track of all those taps, swipes, and data points without just crashing into total chaos? Well, behind the screen, there's this hidden architecture, a master plan really, that dictates exactly how information flows. Let's peel back the curtain and see exactly how it works.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the messy app problem. Then, we'll meet model and view. Third, MVC, the classic controller. Fourth, MVP, the strict presenter. Fifth, MVVM, the automated binder. And finally, number 6, which pattern wins?
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, the messy app problem. Or, as I like to call it, the chaos of unorganized code. To really appreciate the solution, we first kind of have to understand the problem, right? Back in the early days, developers used to just shove everything into one giant file. I mean, imagine trying to cook in a kitchen where your clothes, your cooking tools, and your food are all just stuffed into the exact same drawer. Absolute nightmare. When the screen design and the data are mixed together without any organization, total chaos ensues. So to fix this messy room, developers realized they had to divide the app into 3 distinct jobs: the screen, the data, and a middleman to connect them. This gave us the famous rule of 3, creating a really clean separation of concerns. Moving right along to Section 2, Meet Model and View. This right here is the foundation of literally every app. Now, before we meet the famous middlemen that make up our 3 different architectures, we have to introduce the 2 foundational jobs, and these stay exactly the same across every single pattern we're going to talk about today. First up, the model. You can think of the model as the brain of your app. Its one and only job is to handle data and enforce the rules. So if you're using a grocery app, the model is the database that remembers, hey, you need milk and eggs. It handles all the saving, updating, and deleting of information. But here's the catch. The brain never ever cares about what you, the user, actually see. It just lives in the dark. Next, we have the view. If the model is the brain, the view is definitely the face of the app. It's the physical screen you're looking at, the buttons you're tapping, the text you're reading. And the view's only job? Well, it's just to look pretty and display information. It has absolutely zero business logic, meaning it doesn't have a clue how to actually save your grocery list. It only knows how to show it to you. All right, let's hit Section 3, MVC, the classic controller, our 1970s solution. Now, what's really interesting about this is that the very first middleman designed to connect the brain and the face was born way back in the late 1970s. As this quote points out, MVC, which stands for Model View Controller, was created as a general solution for users to safely control huge, complex sets of data. It is literally the granddaddy of all architectural patterns. The whole goal was to stop the view and the model from stepping on each other's toes. By dropping a controller right smack in the middle, developers finally had a dedicated traffic cop to manage how information flowed. Let's walk through a super simple shopping list scenario. Step 1, you tap Add to Cart on the view. Step 2, the view has no idea what to do with that, so it tells the controller. The controller then acts like a basic router and tells the model, hey, update the database. Once the brain updates, the view is told to refresh itself to show that brand new item. Pretty simple, right? But warning, as apps grow and you start adding way more buttons and screens, this controller traffic cop has to direct so much data that it can get completely overwhelmed. In fact, developers jokingly call this the massive view controller problem, because the code can turn into this giant tangled mess. Which brings us to Section 4, MVP, the strict presenter. Think of this guy as the organized middleman. To fix that bloated controller problem, we move into the 1990s. And this comparison perfectly illustrates the shift. On side A, the MVC controller acts as a loose router, and sometimes the view can actually sneak a peek directly at the model. But on side B, the MVP presenter is a super strict middleman. It completely cuts the direct tie between the brain and the face. Under MVP, the view and the model are simply not allowed to talk to each other. Absolutely everything has to go through the presenter. Let's run through that exact same Add to Cart scenario, but this time with MVP. So you tap the button, the view strictly notifies the presenter. Then the presenter does all the heavy lifting. It updates the model, waits for the response, formats the data into a nice, pretty package, and pushes it directly back to the view. The view is so passive here, it literally just acts like a blank canvas. It just displays exactly what it's told to display, no questions asked. And this strict setup, it makes finding bugs an absolute breeze because developers can test all the presenter's logic without even needing to look at a real screen. Now, let's step into the modern era with Section 5, MVVM, the automated binder, also known as the magic sync.
So MVVM stands for Model, View, View Model. And the absolute magic of this pattern relies on a concept called two-way data binding. Imagine a magical, invisible string tying the face directly to the middleman. The view model holds all the current information. Well, because of this invisible string, if the data in the view model changes, the screen automatically updates itself. Boom! No manual coding required to refresh the page. Amazingly, the view model doesn't even know the view exists. It just broadcasts the data out there, and the connected screen reacts instantly.
Let's see just how seamless this is. Say you type an item into a search box on the view. Instantly, Step 2, data binding magically syncs those exact letters over to the view model in real time. Then, Step 3, the view model automatically saves that data down to the brain, the model. Forcing a screen to refresh manually, totally a thing of the past. Honestly, it feels like magic, but it's really just brilliant engineering.
All right, moving to Section 6. Which pattern actually wins? How do you choose the right recipe?
So the crucial point here is, we've seen the classic controller, the strict presenter, and the automated binder. But if we strip away all the technical jargon, how does a team actually pick? Well, they base it on their specific needs. MVC acts as a basic rotor, which makes it super straightforward for simple web apps. MVP is that strict middleman, which is absolutely perfect for complex apps where making sure the code is easy to test for bugs is your #1 priority. And MVVM uses that magical automated string, making it the absolute champion for modern, incredibly data-heavy user interfaces. Look, there is no single winner here. They're all incredibly popular today. Massive websites like Stack Overflow, they use the classic MVC. Google frequently uses MVP for building those highly reliable Android apps. And Apple, they use MVVM for their modern languages, right alongside some extremely popular web frameworks. It's just like being in a kitchen. The secret recipe totally depends on what kind of meal you're trying to cook.
And just like that, you now speak the secret language of software developers. You know that behind every pretty screen is a model acting as the brain and a hardworking controller, presenter, or view model making sure everything runs flawlessly. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you tap Add to Cart on your phone, take a second and ask yourself, which invisible middleman is working for you?